welcome. It's good to have you back. You're always welcome here to join me, and it's a pleasure to have you again. For those of you that are new, hi, you're very welcome too. My name is Paul, and I like to talk about Jesus the man. Jesus the man before Christianity. Jesus the man who understands human frailty, who understands the condition, the human condition, how difficult it is to get through life. He understood us, and I believe that you don't understand his teachings because you're wearing the lens of Christianity. Christianity that changed so much of Jesus' teachings to suit itself. And I'll explain to you why. But before I can go any further, you need to remove the goggles that are blinding you to Jesus' true teachings. And to do that, I need you to switch off your imagination and just start to join me. Now they're removed, we can talk about what Jesus really taught and not what Christianity told you they taught. Let's understand one thing. Christianity is used to control you. Heaven, hell, God in heaven, old man with a white beard, all there to control you. All hung over from the Old Testament, the Jewish traditional religion. And that's not what Christianity is all about. That is not what Jesus was teaching. And when you take off those goggles of Christianity and start looking at his teachings from a more spiritual point of view, you start to understand how they're controlling you. I mean, just look at today. Look at how Christianity is, in certain parts of the world, is starting to take over the judiciary. Well, by that I mean it's taking over the government. It's deciding what you can and can't do through religion. That's not Jesus' teachings, is it? No, I mean, how many Christians do you know? How many of them love their enemy? How many of them would turn the other cheek? How many of them would give up all their wealth and share it with other people? How many of them would happily take in strangers because those strangers need their help? How many Christians do you know would do that? I'm telling you now, not many. But that's the teachings of Jesus, isn't it? That is the teachings of Jesus. Love thine enemy. Yeah? Now, Jesus was talking about spiritual heaven. Jesus was talking about a spiritual God. Jesus says on several occasions in the Bible, heaven is within you. You don't need a temple. You don't need to go to a temple. Mainly Luke comes up with those side things. What you've got to remember is that the Bible was written 100, 200 years after Jesus had died. And the people that were writing it were remembering stories that had come through the oral tradition. And of course that oral tradition was based in the Jewish religion of God. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Jewish God. Brimstone and hellfire God. The God who cast down pestilence on Jewish enemies. The God who blew up whole cities because they were against the Jewish people. The God who condemned the Jews to wander in the 140 years. The God who turned Lot, his wife, into a pillar of salt because she turned back and looked against his will. The God who tested one of his prophets by telling him to kill his eldest son. How much do you love me? And then, after Jesus has come, we have a lovely God, a caring God, a God that's all forgiving, a God that, really? That's not what Jesus was teaching. Jesus was teaching that God's inside you. Jesus was teaching that heaven is inside you. Jesus was teaching that we can ascend to our spiritual selves and improve ourselves. And by doing that, we can improve the world. But if you're going to take religion and use it to your own ends, I mean, just look at the world's religions. It's all about controlling people. It's not about the best for people. It's about controlling them. You've been a naughty boy, you'll go to hell. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. You've got to do this on a Sunday, you've got to do that on a Friday. Yeah, whatever that is. You've got to wear a face mask, you've got to cover yourself up. That's control. That's not religion, that's control. And control comes from men, not from the spiritual side of things. The spiritual side of things wants us all to thrive and do well as a community. And until you take those lenses off, and start looking at spirituality rather than Godhead, a single Godhead, then you won't see Jesus' true teachings. Because when I do my parables, or I talk about Jesus' life, I talk about the things Jesus was teaching in a spiritual way. So as you know, I don't believe in God. I've said that so many times, but I do believe in a God inside of me. I believe that we're all connected. Every single one of us on this planet is connected. And it's about time that we started doing something about our poor planet and what's happening to it. And if we don't start doing something soon, it'll be too late, and that'll be the end of humanity. And it won't be anything to do with God. It won't be anything to do with a God. It'll be to do with us, because it's inside of us. We are the ones. It's up to us to share our planet, all of us to share it together. So take off those goggles. They're blinding you to the realities. And if you watch any of my videos, and I suggest you do if this is your first time here, you start looking at the parables that I'm teaching in the way I'm showing them to you. But before you begin, everyone, take off your goggles of Christianity and start looking through the lens of spirituality and seeing what Jesus was really teaching. If you went and watched a movie, when you go and watch Spider-Man, or, I don't know, the Fantastic Four, or the Avengers, you turn off reality, don't you? You switch it off in your head, and you say to yourself, there aren't really people who can fire spiders' webs across the universe. There aren't people who can turn themselves into balls of fire. There aren't people who can get really long, stretchy arms. It's all wonderful imagination and fantasy. What I'm asking you to do is, when you start looking at the stories in the Bible, in the parables, take off what you believe is reality, because it's not. This is not reality. Take that off. Put it to one side and look at it through the lens I'm offering you, and then make your own decisions. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to change your mind about anything. I'm certainly not here to tell you that what you believe is wrong. I'm here to show you how you can look at things differently. Maybe, just maybe, by removing those goggles and looking through the lens of what I believe is reality, you might see things differently. Thank you for watching. If you found it interesting, I'd be delighted if you want to share it with others. If you think I'm wrong, then please comment below, let me know. If you think I'm right, comment below, let me know what you think. I'd like to hear your views. Share, comment, and of course, if you'd like to know more about what I do, and especially if you'd like to know more about the teachings of Jesus through the eye of non-Christianity, then do subscribe. I bring out videos regularly, and all of them are challenging Christianity, challenging the old worldview. And it's time to start looking at the new worldview of what spirituality is, and Jesus is spirituality. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.